Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a very special car for the channel, an Audi RSQ8, which is right behind here. It belongs to a good friend of mine who has had some of his previous cars on the channel as well. We'll talk about them as the video progresses. But yeah, the Audi RSQ8, quite a highly spec'd car out here. We're gonna obviously do like the startup, a walk around of the car, give you some exhaust notes, and obviously hit those country lanes. So let's go and have a look at this car right now. So the Audi RSQ8. Last week I had the Audi S8 on the channel, which was the ultimate Q car. This is not really a Q car, but it's right in your face. What I like about it is that it's got a full stealth look. It's finished off in Mythos black, and it's got the carbon black pack. It's got a carbon is all over the car. You got a carbon grille on the front, got a carbon splitter, carbon mirrors, carbon diffuser, and you've also got carbon boot trim as well, which looks absolutely stunning. On this car, it does look like a complete stealth machine. Being an RSQ8, you get the RS oval pipes, which have got the twin pipes within them. So from the front end, you've got a very intimidating look with a massive grille. You've got some sensors on the front grille as well. But yeah, it just looks like an undercover cop car. Can't imagine feds running in something like this though. But yeah, it's just so bloody intimidating, this thing is. 23-inch alloy wheels. You got like a 6-pot caliper at the back there as well. I think it's 6-pot, it's big enough to be a 6-pot anyway, but it just looks so damn good, this car does. So the power plant of the Audi RSQ8 is the 4-litre V8 twin turbo. It produces in the region of about 600 horsepower. It's the same engine that we've seen in the S8 last week. It's the same engine that you'd find in the RS6 as well. It's a brutal engine, this is. It has roughly around about 800 newton meters of torque, I believe, so it's going to be interesting to see how something like this pulls a car here that weighs around about sort of 2 tons or maybe just over. So it'll be interesting to see how this power plant delivers that power on this type of car. So this rear quarter view has got to be my favorite, because you've got this real nice square shoulder line that goes right into the rear door, gives you that real nice muscular stance. The back end of this car, with all this carbon going off, you got the carbon on the boot trim, the carbon on the rear diffuser. It's just so damn striking. I've not seen any other RSQ8 like this. The carbon theme continues on the interior as well. You've got carbon on the door cards over here. You've got Alcantara as well, which has a real nice feel. Carbon on the center console. This carbon here does look quite like a dry carbon rather than, like, say, a gloss effect. It's not as glossy. You've got a carbon all over the sort of main dash, door cards, a lot of Alcantara. You've got Alcantara down here. The seats, RS seats with the RS logo, finished off with the red stitching, a real nice contrast. You've got the seat belt as well with the red trimmings on it. These seats do look quite nice. Again, let's see how they feel on the drive, how supportive they're going to be. And it does have the optional panoramic glass roof, which gives it a real nice airy feel in the cabin. We've also got the RS floor mats, which is quite a nice touch, and a kick plate that's specific to the model RSQ8, and it's illuminated as well. How good is that? So here on the inside of the RSQ8, it does have a real nice quality feel. You've got these dual touch screens. You can see all the finger marks all over them. It's going to be a pain to clean these, I suppose, but they are there, so they're all touchscreen. We'll talk about them on the fly. You've got the S-tronic gearbox. I believe these are now 8-speed ZF gearboxes. It's got a real nice kind of fit and finish all over it. And as all Audi models these days, they do have a digitalized cockpit. Let's just put the ignition on right there. There we go. We got the whole kind of sweep. And let's just turn that down. And yeah, there you go. That's the dual touchscreens. Now these touchscreens, even though they are touch, they have a haptic feedback. So you got to press the buttons in a way, and you do get this kind of a haptic kind of a feed when you're pressing them, and like a little click as well for the temperature. That is the digitalized sort of cockpit, and you've got a button here which is the RS mode. So if you just press that, it does change into an RS cockpit, which looks quite good. The car does have a soft limiter. When we do rev the car, it's going to be quite soft, so it's not going to let us rev all the way to the red line, probably to about 4,000 RPM. But overall, I do like the way the interior does feel. It's quite fresh, coming from me being like a complete like a BMW enthusiast. It does have quite a different feel to pretty much any BMW that I've been in. So you know, I might be quite convinced now, you know, like with these new Audis, the way they look from inside. The steering wheel is quite nice because it is Alcantara. You've got the flappy paddles as well. They've got quite a nice sort of feel to them. They are plastic on the back. If this was an AMG, they'd be full aluminium, which would give it a real nice kind of feel as well. But overall, this interior is a very nice place to be sitting and driving such a car. So there we go, guys. That was a quick walk around of the car, giving you like the highlights of the car, like in terms of spec. What we're going to do now is give the car a start up and some revs. The car does have a soft limiter, so it's not going to rev as high to the red line. It might not sound as loud compared to like the S8 that I had on the channel last week, I believe, but that's nothing to take away from this car. What we're going to do is give it a start up, some revs, and then we're going to hit those country lanes. So ladies and gents, the RSQ8, I'm not going to mess about this time. I'm not going to stick the car into efficient mode or anything. We're straight into the RS mode of this car. This is an impressions vid, it's not a full-on review. And my last vid that I just did, which was yesterday, was on the M3 with about 560 horsepower. So back to back, this thing is like totally like worlds apart compared to that. Yes, we've got Quattro here, the roads are damp. You know, it's got that bubble of security in terms of I've got Quattro to help me out. This car is very quick, but it gives you a little bit of false economy. Like in the M3, even in my M4, when I'm doing like say, I don't know, 50 miles an hour, you can feel that you're doing 50 miles an hour or 60 or 70 or whatever it might be. In this, you don't even feel what you're doing until you look down at the speedo and you kind of think, oh crap, you know, maybe I should slow down a little bit. But the best thing about this is that performance. It's just crazy. You got obviously Quattro here, so all of that power gets put down and gets on the road rather than, you know, the car's sapping it away through wheel spin. But this car, even though it's Quattro, it's rear wheel bias, so you do get that sense of being pushed along rather than just, you know, kind of rolling on the road. It grips the road quite well as well. We're going to throw it around some corners and some bends in the road. This steering wheel, it's Alcantara, and it's got a real good feel for it. It's not one of those kind of cheaply wrapped Alcantaras over a leather trimmed wheel. This is obviously OEM, but the way it's kind of carved around here, you got all of these nice little cutouts, and obviously being flat bottom as well. On a car this powerful, it really does give you a lot of confidence when you are, like say, plowing through like those corners and stuff, especially when you're getting like sweaty palms and whatnot. You know, it's like a nice little towel. But no, it's, you know, the way it is, it's quite slim. It's not overly like say chunky like the way you find in like BMWs and whatnot. I'm kind of getting convinced here. Two Audis. I mean, I've driven two Audis now back to back, and I'm really like impressed with the way how different they are to BMWs. So who knows, when I talk about my next car, could be like a V8, it could be a V8 Audi. Digital dial? Right, actually, very good point, Ummer, right there, because in my S8 video last week, I made a point that I'm a big fan of you know, analog dials. And then the dials as well, they're really crisp, and what I do like about them is that they are analog. I'm a huge fan of analog dials rather than all of these, you know, kind of digitalized dashboards these days. This has got the live cockpit. Obviously the digital dials in the 3 Series that I've got at home is not as clear as this, and this again has got to be like, you know, one of the better ones that I've seen. Yeah, so I'll have to like do a U-turn on what I said last week. These dials are amazing. I mean, look, you know, you can go into like different modes. Well, that's going into an RS2 mode. Let's just put it back down. You got, yeah, different types of modes there. There you go. Let's just go through this bend first. So I mean, that's a proper noise sort of cluster right there. All the digital display there, you know, you got all the information. If you want, I mean, that's something that I can't do in the 3 Series, which, you know, on this, that's where Audi are like leaps ahead of like the cockpit view compared to like the BMW. So yeah, I would still prefer, I'll be honest, I would still prefer like analog dials, because that's just old school. But if it's a digital sort of display, I think this wins it. But what I'm not a fan of, and I must say, is like this bit here. Although it looks really good, when you're driving a 500 odd horsepower car and I want to like cool my seats down, you know, you can just see like I'm just kind of hitting the wrong buttons. But that's just something that maybe I could just get used to. Size of this car, I mean, this car weighs well over 2 tons, and the performance on tap, car just handles the road. You know, I was in the S8 the other day, like last week, and yes, that car had been like mapped quite a lot. How can I put it? I mean, yes, the car had more power, but this has the edge on it for whatever reason, and this is not even tuned or mapped or anything like this. This definitely has the edge on it, and it's hard to kind of pinpoint that, because I suppose that car had 1100 Newton meters of torque, which was a lot of power, and it did put the power down quite well on the road. This, I guess, is the weight of this car. It's really anchoring down those tyres onto the tarmac, and when you're putting your foot down, it just propels it. I've never driven anything this brutal. So some of you guys might be wondering who owns this car. Yes, like I said before, it's one of my good mates. We used to work together a good few years ago. He's had a number of cars. His car history, I wouldn't say it's consistent, it's kind of sketchy, right?
Very sketchy.
Very sketchy. So about 10 years ago I met you? Maybe more. So we used to work together, and so about 10 years ago, Ummer, what were you driving? Yeah,
probably a Z4.
Right, so a Z4,
if not a Golf, maybe a Smart.
So yeah, so there we go.
Or a C-Class.
Or a C-Class. Or an Evo.
Could have been the Evo.
Was it TVO?
Maybe the TVR. Could have been the Subaru, actually.
I can't remember. You go through your car so much.
CRX.
Oh right, okay.
Honda S2000.
Right.
Not quite sure.
Can't remember. But all I know is, every time I get like a message from Ummer, it's usually on the guarantee that he's picked up a new car. So your last car before this was an R8.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately I didn't get the honour of getting on the channel, but that was an R8. However, he has had an Evo 10 which has been on the channel. The Maserati that you had as well has been on the channel. And this is the thing, so I was kind of under the impression that you'd buy a Maserati and then always stick with an Italian car. Well, from an Italian to a German to like a Jap to something like this.
Don't forget the Range Rovers.
Oh yes, the Range Rovers.
Big fan of
the
them.
Love and hate relationship with Range Rovers. Yes, he got me into a Range Rover. I got into a Range Rover Evoque, and after that, never again. If you want to know more about that car, I'll link you up here. But no, coming back to this RSQ8, it is a phenomenal car. I mean, in terms of like, say, on the interior here, we can't even, like I say, I'm in RS mode, we can't even hear the engine. It's purring away in 4th gear, revving at about 2000 RPM, and it's fairly, like, you know, serene in here. It's quite quiet, but with the prod of the throttle and the downshift, there you go, you get the V8 rumble, you get the exhaust note, and it does feel quite sporty, if I'm honest. Even for a share size of this car, it does feel sporty. And the reason I say that is, in the RS mode, every time you go near a downshift, the car just, it kind of like really, it's an aggressive downshift, and then the throttle response is, you know, it's very responsive. So a little prod of the throttle and you just moved like, you know, a few hundred yards up ahead. I'm gonna try and show you what I mean. Give the car a little bit of space up ahead. It feels like the car squats on the rear and it just moves forward. I mean, for a quattro of this size, like I say, I've never felt like that before in an Audi. On the inside, like I say, it doesn't sound too loud, but I bet it's thunderous on the outside. What's really surprising is the way this thing just eats up these corners, because I was actually expecting this car to be quite like wallowy through the corners. Being obviously an RS product, they've obviously got all of the RS DNA straight into this car. I mean, the last SUV that had like quite a bit of power was the GLC 63 that I was in, again probably about a year ago. I'm more of a performance type of guy in terms of performance cars, in terms of like a proper car, rather than an SUV. But the way this thing is and the way this thing has been developed, they're certainly not missing any tricks there at all when it comes to, like, say, how this car is cornering. A bit of traction there. I got the traction control to flicker in the quattro. Look at that. That was a flat corner. It's planted, man. This car is really planted. It's pretty much an all-rounder. I can't really say much more than that. You know, as a first impressions, this car does it all. It's got the stealth look. You can probably slip under the radar quite a bit in this car when you're sort of pulling around town. And then when you're on the commute and you're using these kind of back roads, you can just flick the car into an RS mode, go into flappy paddle mode as well, and, you know, give it a right hoon, and it will literally lap up the road, you know, without any fuss whatsoever. So guys, there you have it. I think I've kind of made up my impressions on this car. It's an awesome car, you know. It pretty much does everything that you expect like a performance car to do in an SUV body. You got the space, you got the pace, and above all, you know, it's a quality product, obviously being an Audi, so you got the build quality as well. So guys, if you have enjoyed this video, give it a like, share, subscribe to the channel, check me out on my Instagram. I'll be posting lots of pictures of this car around like my page as well, so definitely stay tuned to that. Hopefully guys, I'll see you on the next one. Take care, bye.